So I'm Burak, one of the three co-founders of Rollic, and we co-founded Rollic last year in January, actually, and we published 13 games after the foundation. So still we have 4 games in US top charts right now, and one of is I think ranked 3 as of today. And I was in the audience last year as an excited game startup co-founder just in this month, in 2019. Now I'm on the stage talking to you guys, so it was a lucky year, I guess, for us. And to start with, there's a myth that creating an hyper-casual game is easy, but actually it's not. So if you're able to play, if you're able to build a game which can be easily played by every gender, every age, and every culture, actually you are gathering new people to mobile gaming industry, right? So, of course, publishing this much games had a lot of story behind the scenes. So today I'm going to deep dive a bit what we faced during this road, I can say. And I have one question to start with. Can you guess how many games we tested in 2019? 200. Any guess? 200? 1,000. No. That's the one. Actually, the number is 472. What I told you that we only published 13 of them as global hits. So the behind the scenes story is very long compared to what you see up front, actually. So the biggest value for us is basically the keyword is coaching. Coaching the developers and coaching our studios on hyper-casual game development and publishing a global hit, right? But by coaching, I don't mean checking trends. I don't mean checking your competitors' test accounts. I don't mean just trying to follow up what's already happening, because that's, for hyper-casual, is very slow. So the trends you're already checking maybe differentiate like in a week, right? So by coaching, what we mean has 3 steps. First steps comes together as idea and execution, because on hyper-casual you cannot waste your time for like 3 weeks just thinking of an idea. If you have an idea, you need to just develop it right away, in a day, in 3 days, right? So we always tell our studios that on prototype level, don't overdevelop the game. Just develop the clean mechanics and 1-day content to check the results of the test. So idea and execution always comes together, and the most important thing on this phase is mostly creativity before data. Data steps in with the publisher historical data. For example, the studio has an idea, but that game design asset already had a very high cost per install within our tests before. So we tell our developers that just don't waste time on this, let's move on to a new idea. That's only data we have in terms of idea and execution level. So in this level, you need to be mostly creative. Next level is filling the gaps. Filling the gaps is basically the soft launch phase. So you have a game which has a potential, but this is the bloody phase of what you're doing actually. So this is where you merge creativity and data with the feedbacks, with the A/B testing and everything, right? So basically you understand if your game is going to scale or profit during this phase. And the last phase is scaling. Basically that's the publisher value. If the game is ready, then publisher puts it on the top charts and just scales the game. But during this scale, you don't lose the A/B testing or anything. You still keep on improving the game because everything can be better on that moment. But this was 2019, actually. This was what we did last year. So there's always a next big thing in gaming industry, and it can be changing. So the next big thing for now won't be the next big thing for next year, right? But for us, the next big thing is how can we automate coaching without losing its value? Because by coaching, we mean that when the game shows a potential, we send plane tickets to our developer partners or studio partners and put them in a meeting room in our office, and we don't go out like 2 weeks, right? So we develop the game together. So that's the value, that's the human value behind what we are doing actually together on that moment. But we always need to automate this because we need to scale more and we need to publish more games, right? So to build a future-proof ecosystem for hyper-casual, we need to find non-manual solutions to these 3 bullet points. So visualization of big data, where we spend a lot of time to find the data, actually. Time and speed. And lastly, feedback mechanism. So in 2019, we did all this manually. Right? We were checking 4 or 5 tools just to find the correct retention, correct time spent, correct data, correct funnels of the game. We were lacking time because of that, and our feedback mechanism was very manual. So next year, what we're going to do is we're going to replace this manual process to our SDK, with our SDK that we are launching, which is named Elephant. So Elephant will involve all analytics data, where you can find the tools you are already using. And it will involve the testing technology, which will be like A/B testing directly from our SDK. It will involve insights of the games, AI feedbacking, and lastly, automated optimization, which I'm going to go into details right away. So the first phase is, think that you wake up in the morning, you come to the office, you open your computer and you log into our, by the way, Elephant is just an exclusive tool for Rollic partners. So it's not usable for other developers or publishers. So you're a Rollic partner and you log into the tool and you see a notification like this. Number of failed events saturated at level 8, adjust the difficulty. So think that how much time you're going to spend just finding the fail events on level 8 and trying to figure out what to do, right? But you wake up and you see it in front of you. Or tutorial level recommended, that's probably having a lot of fail events in level number 1. The users are not understanding the original mechanic of the game. Or optimize ad rotation as minimum 40 seconds per full screen, because obviously 30 seconds as was giving you low retention, right? So this is a very basic feedbacks that we manually gave in 2019. Now there will be an SDK and artificial intelligence doing it for us next year. So that was phase 1. Phase 2 is, even if you have these feedbacks, you need to develop them. So you need to adjust the difficulty, you need to change the ad rotation manually on the backend side, or you need to add a tutorial level to the game. But imagine that you already did those when you're first developing the game at first place, and those are in the game already, and our SDK Elephant, it is optimizing that for you without you doing any manual improvement on the backend. So you put like 4 options of difficulty to the game. If a user is churning out a lot with more fail events compared to others, so it adjusts the difficulty on a mass level and makes the game easier already and giving you a higher retention and better understanding of your original mechanic. So this is phase 2. But again, we are talking about a big picture. So when we are doing an optimization on this level, we are optimizing the whole game, not just the per user, what I mean is. So actually the game changer part is phase 3. So on Hypercasual, you are dealing with a huge mass audience, right? So there are every kind of person there. So what we need to do is we need to understand each of these users and maximize the lifetime value for each of them, maybe not on a mass picture. So the third and most important phase of Elephant is optimizing the game for every user. So not only for every user generating for the game, but for every individual, and understanding their tendency and behavior against your game and optimizing the next levels and everything throughout. So let me tell you this through an example. So this is Tom. Tom is playing your game on his way to the office, and he fails 3 times at level number 1. Okay? So he's frustrated a lot. Probably you will lose him. So he's going to get out of the game. But you have 2 options, right? You don't deal with Tom and lose him for like eternity and won't see him again. Or elephant may be watching him and directly putting an additional tutorial level for him on the next level to make him understand the mechanic better and easier, and adjusting the difficulty of the next levels you're going to face during the game to make him stay more in the game, and analyzing the ad rotation and maybe showing him an ad not in 30 seconds, in a minute, because he's already frustrated, and if you're going to show him an ad, probably he will leave the game. So we are doing everything to make him stay. And lastly, a bit makeover from Elephant, that it shows and offers a skin offer directly in the end of the first level to Tom. After all these optimizations, if you lose Tom, believe me, he was never yours, so he can leave. But this is a way to be producing a better game for every individual. So we already beta tested Elephant in Q4 2019, and there are some guys who already did that with us, our studios. And what we see was the first time we are producing faster, 3 times faster. So what I mean by this is, so we have like 4 different mechanic ideas we have, but we put all of them in the first day and just do the A/B testing, and we gain time. Like if you do it in 3 weeks with the updates on App Store, you will waste your time, but you can see all of the results in just 3 days. So we are producing 3 times faster right now, and we will be doing it next year. And we have 92% on target iteration. What I mean 92% on target iteration is every iteration we do, checking the data on Elephant, provides a positive feedback in terms of retention or in terms of time spent in the game or any other positive metric of the game. So all of this big data provides you how to build a better game. But don't just spend a lot of time on this if you have a 18%, 20% retention on your game. Okay? So if you have a 20% retention in a game, this is bullshit. Just find a new mechanic or find a new game. So Elephant or any other tool won't be giving you a 45% retention when you start with a 20% one, because it gives you the data that the original mechanic of the game is not already working. So you need to find a new one, right? And with all this technology and automation, we are planning to launch 3 times more global hits this year, and we already launched 2 this month. So we are in average 2, but I think we'll make the scale in average 3 global hits next year. Thank you.
You talk about LTV, which is fantastic to see in a Hypercasual talk, but I actually think one of the biggest strengths of Hypercasual is the ability to reduce cost of development. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously we've got a lot of waste, we've got a lot of throughput, but from what I think you're showing is, are you not actually delivering just more efficient ways to find things as early as possible?
Yeah, so on Hypercasual you don't have time, right, to develop anything, and yes, development costs a lot. So what you need to do is, starting from the idea level, you need to know what you're doing, right? So yes, an Elephant with the coaching and with the tool, we provide efficiency in terms of time, and time is cost. So that's the basic solution.
So a lot of people at Voodoo and various others have started doing testing before building games, mm-hmm. so with videos or even mock-up app store pages. Mm-hmm. Are you using that sort of technique?
No, because we believe that to become a perfect game company, you should have a game, not a video. because we faced a lot. There are a lot of developers who are just producing videos. For example, they see like 6 cents on CPI test, but they don't know what to do with the game because they don't have the game. It is just a satisfying video. So we always tell our developers, and the way we work is, especially next year, for every brilliant idea we have, we test it on the App Store. And the reason we are very comfortable with is we already know what will have a low CPI. So Rollic has the historical data for that. So if a game is going to have a high CPI, most probably we'll stop the developers producing it. So, and just merging the creativity and data, it can be solved, but the game should always be on the store for us.
But I think isn't that kind of one of the most interesting points of what you're trying to do is systematize this. So having this access to kind of historic data and to have a continuous process of learning. To me, that's a massively powerful mechanism.
That's the basic idea lies behind it, and that's the power actually, to be honest.
Especially, bringing other games here from some of the guys in the room that are using it, you say, I think that itself is also, potentially phenomenally powerful.
Yeah, that's the idea behind it. Yeah.
So anyone else who's kind of looking at games in this way who wants to ask a question or wants to challenge this?
No?
No?
Okay. I was very clear, so.
Okay, I'll carry on then. They call me. I call myself a chief of curiosity because I'm always fascinated. So one of the things I think is really interesting about lining up these things is like understanding what mechanics are going to have what emotional responses.
Yeah. No.
And how much do you focus on the single mechanic versus the emotion that the mechanic derives?
Yeah, actually, for hypercasual, you need to stay simple. So staying simple means that you need to have very certain and clean original mechanic. Every other detail after that comes in soft launch phase, not on a prototype level phase. So our first option and what we look at the first place is just a single mechanic. Maybe it's a tap and hold one, maybe it's a tap one, maybe it's a swipe one, but it should be single and easy to understand, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, I've been working on a template for hyper-casual games recently, the idea being to filter out some of the sort of craziest ideas, so you can just actually make sure you've got something simple. One of the things I look to do to make that easier for designers is to get them to think about one mechanic in one game that they love. Is that a kind of mindset that you see works?
Yeah, actually, the starting from idea level is important because of that. Yeah. Because sometimes when you leave developers and studios, they go crazy and they overdevelop the game a lot. So feedbacking should start from the end. We start brainstorming ideas on paper, not even on the store. So yes, we make them stop and just understand their mechanic, but in the end of the day, they will develop what they like. Because again, this, especially hyper-casual, doesn't have one big rule set, right? So every new mechanic, think of the simulation games which are on the top charts right now. 2 years ago, you wouldn't guess that design and that mechanics to be very successful on hyper-casual, but the world is evolving. So we are always testing new things, but yes, we are always just leading them to one certain mechanic that but even if it's going to succeed or not, we need to be staying focused on that one.
So one last question. You've got obviously a clear view of how you're going to use systematized processes to continuously learn. But how do you respond to someone like Eric Zoffert's challenge that hyper-casual is dead? Is there still length in this market, or is it cannibalizing?
Yeah, actually, last week we tested like 3 games, I guess, with CPIs less than 10 cents. Sorry. So if there's a CPI like that still, then the market will continue growing. So that's the way, because we are still a bit far away from saturation. So, and the test results are giving the data. So what I look at always is, this month, do we have some games which has lower CPIs than 10 cents? Yes, then it will still continue.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, one quick question.
Yeah.
Let me bring you the mic because it's being recorded.
Yeah.
Is the Elephant server-based, or is it contained in the API? I'm only asking because my kids, what they do when they play hyper-casual, they turn off the Wi-Fi and the data connection so they don't get the ads. So if your system isn't within the app to do the manipulation of the game, and it's server-based, then it won't actually work for a lot of kids who play hyper-casual.
Yeah, actually, still closing Wi-Fi and having no access to the server is a very low percentage of our mass audience. So it doesn't affect that much for us.
Not if the Wi-Fi was turned off.
Yeah, still they do it, but mostly what we see is they start doing it after the second or third day of the game. So not in the first or 2 days, because they need more ads to improve more and stuff.
It is server-based.
Yes.
And on that note, thank you very much.
Thank you.